Welcome to the Healthpreneur podcast. My name is Yuri Elkaim, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Healthpreneur podcast. We're doing another client deep dive. Today I am joined by the amazing Chelsea Thiede, and I'm excited to jump into this conversation with her because she's doing some pretty amazing things. And let me give you a bit of context and background as to who she is, just in case you're unaware. So she is a food scientist, nutrition therapy practitioner, and training integrative nutritionist. Her passion for children's health, because she specializes in helping parents work with kids who have ADHD. Her passion really stems from her most important job title, which is that of being a mom. And I can totally agree with you that moms are like 24/7. It makes entrepreneurs look like a cakewalk. So Chelsea, I'm excited to have you on the show today. Obviously I can go on and on about your bio, but you're doing some great things with families and their kids around ADHD. And I'm excited to have you on today's call, and let's jump into how we can best support you. So what do you want to do? And let's get down to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I would love to talk a little bit about the webinar that I'm putting together and talk about how to explain to potential clients kind of the keys to success in how parents can help their children overcome ADHD.
Cool. So can you talk to me about what you've got going on right now with the webinar? So give our listeners, give our viewers a bit of context about the webinar big idea. So the message you're trying to get across, and then we can look at some of those keys that you want to build out, those secrets in terms of the content itself to make your program as attractive as possible.
Yeah, so kind of what I have in my webinar right now is that I'm saying the real problem of children suffering with ADHD is that parents aren't really able to get to the root cause right now, and that a child's brain really needs the right tools to turn on the right wires.
Love it. So good. So good, guys. So just as for the viewer listener, big idea. The thing you want to get across with your webinar should be something that's novel, different, or contrarian. And so what you just said there is stuff that I never even heard of. So I think that's great. Awesome.
Yeah, and kind of specifically the thing that I get into is I really focus on a very contrarian concept called copper dysregulation. And so, we'll kind of get into that probably in the keys to success, but that's a big part of what I deal with.
Cool. That's great. Just a reminder for everyone listening, like when you're putting out content, so we help our clients build out very value adding, but high converting webinars. So I like to call it benevolent buy-in, right? It's valuable, but you're also getting people to buy into your philosophy. So it's not teaching the how-to, but we're building people's desire to want to book a call with you to see if there's a good fit to work together. So talk to us about the content, the secrets, discoveries that you want to share in the webinar. That's the direction you want to go, right?
Right. So the three secrets I have are, that you don't need medication to overcome ADHD, that copper dysregulation is a huge part of what accelerates ADHD, and that ADHD is not a lifelong sentence for children or adults for that matter. And so, yeah, I would love to. And then kind of once we get into, I'd really love to kind of refine what I have for my key to success, which right now I just give the brain what it needs to communicate effectively instead of using therapies that just try and control the chaos that is still going on in your child's brain.
Perfect. That's great. Do you want to share your slides on the screen?
Oh,
Would
yeah.
that be helpful?
Okay.
All right.
And so what I wasn't sure about with this is whether I should if this is appropriate, or if it's better to kind of create boxes and kind of outline my different steps, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because with my webinar overall, I'm definitely taking an approach of, let me kind of show you the path, but this is definitely something that you cannot do on your own.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I just had an interesting idea. So you know how you have that picture of the brain?
Yeah.
What if you use that as your model? So you see how each of the lobes could be a different component. So, like we have our 4 boxes, right? So you could do something more interesting than that, where maybe it's the 4 how many steps in your program, or how many, like, what would be appropriate in terms of like number of steps or pieces of the puzzle?
Yeah, so I kind of have like 6 to 7 where, let me see if I can actually bring up all my steps. So I kind of talk about like the cleaning out your kitchen, nutrition piece. I do a hair mineral analysis test with the kids to really assess what their different nutrient levels are. I talk about movement, digestion, mindset, detoxifying your home, and sleep.
Cool. So what I would first do, what I would recommend is give each of those 7 steps a name that is an umbrella name for that. So instead of like cleaning out your kitchen, for instance, what is one word we could use to encapsulate that?
Okay.
So you've got 7 steps. And for instance, if you were to use maybe not this brain, but a brain that shows if you can fit 7 different areas in there that have these cool colors. If not, don't worry about it. But giving each of those components a name, because what we're basically building out is your proprietary process, right?
Right.
And so the name of the process will have a name, but then each of the components will also have a name as well. So as an example, I just finished putting together a new social media content sharing thing called social authority. So it's called the social authority amplifier. So social authority, kind of put them together. And there's 5 categories of how you share your content. We've got engage, polarize, coach, inspire, and convert. Okay, so I've given each of those five categories one specific name that encapsulates the goal of the content underneath that category. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So think about it for each of the 7, not that you have to do it now, but for each of those 7 categories, think of one name that encapsulates the essence of that one part of your process. So let's just do one for fun here. So let's just take one of them. You can choose whichever one you want, and we can figure out an interesting name for that.
Okay, so yeah, let's just kind of start with the cleaning out the kitchen nutrition piece.
Sure. So what's one word we could use that could encapsulate that?
I mean, we could just say nutrition. We could say.
And think of it sometimes I find it helpful when you think of using a verb.
So, okay. So something like infuse or.
Clean.
Yeah. Yeah, clean.
So if you think of, okay, if you're to think of like each of the 7 stages, and if you're to think of, okay, here's the thing we're doing, what is the purpose of that stage at its essence, right? So the first thing, it's like purging away, maybe it's purge, maybe it's clean, maybe, whatever it is. But think of a name that would encapsulate the purpose of that stage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think purge is good.
Yeah. So just, something to something to kind of go back to the drawing board with, and then just take those and then just clean them up with 1 or 2 words at the most. And then, yeah. And they should all be the same. They should all have the same palette. So for instance, if the first one was clean, then the other ones should follow along the lines of like that, right? Like a simple word, a verb oriented. So you don't want to have one that's clean and then another one that's like clean your kitchen or dump your garbage, or like it would just be like one word all in the same palette. So it's consistent and congruent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we can do just one more and then, I think it'll kind of get further into my brain. So the next step would be doing the actual like testing with the hair mineral analysis.
Beautiful. So what is the purpose? What is the ultimate purpose of the testing phase?
Like assessing.
Assess, right?
Assess. Okay.
Clean, assess.
Yeah. And then what? The next one is talking about like movement. So move.
Is there a specific type of movements or way of exercise or movement that you recommend?
No, I think it's more just really being mindful about assessing whether like how much screen time a child is having or just sitting versus moving, even doing just simple activities, whether it's walking or doing chores.
Talk to my kids. They're like playing video games right now for like 3 hours a day. I'm like, just because it's Christmas break, guys, chill out.
I know.
Yeah. So we could use move. So you can just write these down. And if they don't feel right, you can always go back to them, right? And a really good resource for this is thesaurus.com.
Okay.
It's a more powerful word than what you're thinking of. You know, I was in my bed this morning thinking of a better word than a word I had already. I was like, I don't think that word really, it doesn't encapsulate what I'm trying to do with this specific thing. And I came up with another word. I was like, that's the word. There it is. Boom. So I just changed it out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Love it.
So Chelsea, just so you know, and just so all of our listeners and viewers know, the reason we're like, why do you, based on what you know of having worked in the program, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing the naming of this process, and why are we even talking about a proprietary process to prospective clients?
Yeah, it's really a great way to help them visualize what you're going to take them through. And I think it's a really powerful way to kind of show that you are an authority on the subject, and just give them a simple roadmap for what you're about to take them through, because no matter what anyone's program is, there's a lot of fear and anxiety about going into something that you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so that just kind of eases people's minds about it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's awesome. That's exactly what we're doing here. Is you are essentially simplifying, clarifying complexity for people. You're showing that you are a thought leader. You're more authoritative. It's a simple plan people can see. And now it's not just like some random stuff that you're doing. Like there's actually a methodology, a secret sauce, which is great. Awesome.
See, I'm totally drinking the Healthpreneur Kool-Aid. I love it.
Dude. There we go. Great. Okay, why don't we go on to the secrets, if that's cool?
Yeah.
Let's talk about those.
All right. Okay. So these are here are my 3 secrets. And again, their medication is not necessary to treat ADHD, and it could potentially be harmful. Copper dysregulation can accelerate the development of ADHD, and ADHD is not a life sentence.
Awesome. So do parents know about copper dysregulation? Like, is that common lingo for them?
No.
Okay. So we might consider something, we kind of want to, if we're talking to doctors, sure, we can say that, right? But
right.
We want to think about meeting people where they're at. So we could say something along the lines of, there's one mineral, or the one mineral imbalance that can accelerate the development of ADHD.
Okay.
Right? And what does that do? That increases curiosity. Then you obviously explain what that is, right? But at least we're meeting them like hey, here's the discovery. Over my
Yeah.
years, I've discovered that there's one mineral imbalance that can accelerate the development of ADHD. And then you go on and talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah,
then kind of once you talk about like metaphors and stuff like that, kind of more explain it.
What's where, or do you in this process, do you map out or do you show people your 7-step process?
Yeah, I guess that's a good question because I kind of outlined the program after I did the webinar. So that would be a great thing to talk about because I don't have that in my webinar.
That's actually a good thing too. Like sometimes it's obviously we talk about the program first before we do the webinar, but sometimes it's helpful to have to build your marketing before your program because they kind of feed back and forth, and you'll get some nuances from doing either or in whatever sequence you want. But the reason I ask is because I think a fourth discovery here could be something along the lines of like following the right protocol, like something where it's very direct about like following the right path, right? So you say like ADHD is not a life sentence, you're going to back that up. And then that could segue into not all, paths up the mountain are created equal, like something along those lines where you can show you have figured out a system, a process that shows people on the screen, wow, here's exactly what's going on. And here's how this can help me. Cool. I want to show you, if I can bring this up on my, this is actually something we just added into our webinar, and this might be helpful for you. So I'm just going to share this with you. This is a really powerful way of, can I just unshare? Let me share my screen for a second.
Can I stop my share?
Yeah, you could do that one. Actually, let me get out of this share thing. How do I get out of the share thing? There we go. I'm just got to connect my iPad for a second. All right. Now this is not something you have to do, but again, it goes back into showing models and really showing people you know what you're talking about when you share this kind of stuff. So this can be a really powerful way at exhibiting what it is you do. Okay, so our perfect client pipeline, 4 boxes, right? Linear, left to right. But the next slide, I actually walked them through this, and I actually draw this out step by step, so I don't just throw this up on the slide like this, because it doesn't make a lot of sense all at once. So what I'm essentially saying in my case is, at the top, we've got more leads from Facebook ads, narrow further, and there's fewer people that end up on the call. So it's kind of like a funnel in our case. Mm-hmm. Now, in your case, like a triangle or a funnel might not be appropriate, but what I do want to highlight here is when you introduce your model, it can be helpful, even on the same picture of your model, is to have the consequences and benefits of not doing your model. So for instance, on the left-hand side here, we've got consequences of not using our perfect client pipeline. So if they don't have Facebook ads, they're relying on hope, right? They're relying on hope that maybe someone will find my business. If they don't have a webinar, well, you're going to be using a lot more of your time to communicate your message. If you don't have an application, you're going to get a lot of tire kickers and unqualified people on the phone. And if you don't have a phone call or an enrollment call in your process, then you're going to be forced to sell low price. So those are the consequences of not doing this model. But the benefits are, for instance, if you work with us and have this pipeline, you have more predictability from your Facebook ads. Your webinar gives you more automation. Your application gives you filtration, and the call gives you higher conversions. So you see what I've done there is I've just said, here's your model. So you don't have to lay it out like this, but you can lay out your model. And then on one side, like top to bottom, for instance, you can say consequences of not doing this, benefits of doing this. And then it's just like super clear in someone's head, like, holy cow, assess. If you don't do the assessment, you could be using the wrong thing, right? You might be using the wrong recommendation for your specific situation. If you don't clean, then willpower will never trump your environment. However you want to explain that. So does that help in terms of, I think this gives it a lot more juice behind selling the importance of someone using your system.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like that a lot.
All right, so I'm going to unshare this if that's cool.
Yeah.
Just get back to your slides for a sec. All right. Okay. So I think your 3 secrets are great. And I would introduce a 4th one, which would essentially be something along the lines of, like in our case, the shortest path is usually the best one, right? That's one of our secrets.
Yes.
So you could have something along the lines like that. It might not be the shortest path. It might be a certain path is the best one, or, you need to figure out how to, word that so that it's most meaningful in your situation. And then what I would do is, if you're going to show your model, the key with visually showing a model is you walk the viewer through step by step. So if you drew it out, like I've got my iPad that's connected to my computer, you don't have to do that. If you wanted to draw this out in your keynote, like insert image, like a square, right? And then an arrow to the next square, like step by step. So that's not all on the screen at the same time. And you would just explain it as you go. And when people see this, it just brings them so much clarity. And now they're like, wow, this person's actually they're legit. So yeah, so I would add that in as your 4th secret. And then again, that segues into, all right, well, if you like this, here's what to do next.
Perfect. I love it. I feel like just those simple things are going to make my webinar so much more powerful.
Totally. And they already are, because again, you're dealing with a population where there's a lot of pain and urgency.
Yes.
Right? Parents don't want their kids to have this, to go on. So that's a really big reminder for everyone. Where there is pain and urgency, you'll generally have higher conversions. And it's important to remember that, right? If you're helping people just improve their eating habits, you're gonna have a tough time. But if you can help someone solve a major problem, and it just so happens part of your process is better eating habits, that's a different story. But always start with the problem, not we're gonna work out and you'll enjoy working out again. No one cares about that stuff. Cool. So has that been helpful, Chelsea?
Yes, that has been so helpful. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Wicked. I'm glad I could help. For everyone listening and watching, if they were considering working with us or going down this road of building another perfect client pipeline inside of our HBA program, what advice would you give to them?
Oh, do it. It is such a must. I was someone who I was trying it the hard way for years, and being in HBA, it really helps you clarify and get straight to your audience. It's so streamlined. I mean, you can just go around and be part of the noise, or you can actually get to your clients and actually help them, because it is so true what we say. Your clients are out there waiting for you, wanting your help. So just doing the simple framework, it's such a game changer, and Yuri walks you through it exactly step by step. So it's amazing. There's nothing out there like it.
No, there isn't. And that's why we created it. But thank you. And just for context, you were doing a lot of the YouTube videos and the content and all the social media stuff before. And it was just a ton of just juggling 1,000 different balls, right?
Yeah. And not getting an audience because you're just putting stuff out there.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Well, Chelsea, thank you so much for playing full out, for sharing. I'm glad we got some clarity around making your webinar even more awesome than it is. So thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing how it all pans out.
Yeah.
And for everyone watching, hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training, totally free right now. And you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.